Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to vibe code a game inside of Claude. I've talked a lot about vibe coding. I've talked a lot about vibe coding using Chat JPT, but I haven't talked a lot about vibe coding using Claude. So I wanted to make sure that I covered how to vibe code some things inside of Claude as well. Now you can check out all of my previous videos by heading on over to my website, Learning Dojo Ninja, and you can go into the blog and check that out. Now we're going to vibe code for Rise, so we're going to insert our code inside of Rise. So that is something to keep in mind. But let's go ahead and go into Claude here. And I have a prompt already created. And if you're going to use the paid version, you could go in and change this over to Sonnet, which does a little bit better job inside of coding. But if you're using the free version, you can stick with Opus, what comes out of the box. But you can also stick with what comes out of the box if you're using the free version. And then also, if you head on over to Claude.ai, you can use the web version as well. But this is my prompt. I want to create a single HTML file that is a game, that is 80s style arcade game, that has different level points and so forth. It shows the learner the progress and all the stats, and then asks questions and gives them points. So this is just an initial style of game. We're not trying to copy any single style of game. If you're trying to learn this, I think it's good to practice with something you know, so you can do a Jeopardy style type of game. But then you have to keep in mind IP if you're going to put that out on a real course as well. But this is something that is not specific to an IP. It's just an 80s style arcade game. So that I can go in and I can customize this and add different features as I want to as well. So let's go ahead and wait for this to generate, and then we will start to iterate on this. And I talk about this in my Vibe Code Fundamentals course, where there's really two modes of thinking when you're vibe coding. There is the implementation, where you're implementing new features, but then there's also the debugging mode, where you're testing things out and trying to find bugs. Bugs are essentially things that don't work, or that could be perceived as a user error or something like that. Those are kind of the debugging mode is trying to figure that out and fixing those to make sure everything is working perfectly. So let's go ahead and wait for this to generate. Now, if you haven't used Claude, another benefit is that instead of Chat JPT, where you have to define it, you either have to tell it to preview it in Canvas by just typing in preview in Canvas, or you have to select the Canvas mode once you start typing in your text. Those are things that you have to do in order to see this. But with Claude, it knows that it's a single HTML file. So as soon as this is done generating, it will actually just generate the HTML preview for you automatically. So that's one of the things I like about that. Now, it doesn't matter what the questions are. We can go ahead and later and say, oh no, here's a list of questions that I want. So you can copy from a text file and say, these are the questions that I actually want. So make sure you update the questions. So right now, I'm just letting it generate any questions to begin with. Another thing to know about vibe coding is you can give the same prompt twice and get two different results. In fact, what I did to practice is I did the same prompt, and the style that I got from the previous one is a lot different. So if you want to use, and I talk about this, what's called a product requirement document, I talk about this in my course. If you want to define everything out as much as possible, that would make it so the end result is a little bit more, no matter which tool you're using, is a little bit more similar, essentially. So here we have our trivia quest, and you can see here that we have a start game. It does look very 80s, and so we have a high score up here, so we can click on Start Game. Now we do have a timer, we have lives, we have a combo. One thing that I like to do, and I'm going to go ahead and refresh this here. So you can click on Refresh up on top to start it over. And in fact, this doesn't allow me to do it, so we'll just let the timer run out, and it just lost a life here. But what I like to do is read over on the left-hand side, and this is important because it will describe some of the important, okay, you have 3 lives, you have a timer, you have things like that. All of that will be described here. So a combo system, it multiplies for consecutive points, time bonus as well. These are different things that you can do or that it has. And it defines, okay, there's 40 plus trivia questions across 5 different categories and so forth. This is where you would want to provide it with the different questions. But let's come in here and let's go ahead and hit preview again. So I'm going to go back into here. Okay, there we go. I probably want to iterate and say, okay, I want to add the instructions of what the points are, what the levels are to the learner on this page. So I could come back in here and do that. But for now, I'm just going to click on Start Game. And let's go ahead and say which element of the atomic number is 1. I don't know. There we go. I got 201 points there. So now the combo is ×2. What programming language is known for its coffee cup logo? Oh, I should know that. Java. There we go. So 322 points. So now we're up to 523. Now, one of the things I want to add is a pause button. That because right now, if I let the timer out, it's going to update my lives or like remove my or get rid of one of my lives there. So I'm going to switch to the code mode just so it stops there. But now we're going to say add a pause button that will pause the timer, but as the pause is enabled, it will hide the question. So the learner cannot see the question or choices. The learner will only be able to do this 3 times throughout the game. And these are the kinds of ideas as you start to play with it and you're like, oh, what happens if they get interrupted? Well, I do need a pause button in that case that I don't want to lose points and lose all 3 of my points if I get distracted by something else. So if you have, okay, well, you can pause, but you can only do pause 3 times throughout the game. Then it will hide the question so they can't sit there and think about the question or the possible answers. But when they resume, then it will show the question too. So those are the kinds of like features and different things as you start to work with these vibe coding tools that you'll eventually want to implement, or as you play with it. And I talk about that a lot in my fundamentals course because you do have to act as the product manager in a lot of ways, where you're testing things out, where you're the expert in the tool. You've played the game, you've gone through the entire game. And that way you know exactly how what the experience is going to be like for the learner. Otherwise, if you implement this and say, cool, and then get it out to the course, you're going to have people that run into issues. You're going to have people that say, well, I did this, and I did this, and I did that. And it's going to cause a lot more headache for you because now you're having to figure out what exactly did they do, and you did not work through all of that. You could even go back into Claude and you can say, hey, act as a learner going through this interaction and figure out what could go wrong and potential bugs and tell me what those are. That's just a different approach. You can have the AI act as like an agent and go through and test it out as well. All right, so now it's going to give me what the updates are. So I can go ahead and preview this. Let's go ahead and click on Start Game. And then you can see there is our pause button up on top. If I want the pause button down at the bottom, I can iterate on that as well. You can see I've lost my life there. So the Great Wall in China was built primarily to protect against which group? There we go. And so it starts to add the points, and then you can see level progress. We have different levels, like 5 levels and so forth. Pretty cool for just 2 simple prompts so far. Let me go ahead and pause this real quick. So you can see paused and then resume. Just 2 prompts to be able to create something like that's pretty awesome. Then I can just copy and paste in all the questions. Hey, change out the questions for this. All right, so let's go ahead and copy this and paste it into Rise. I'm already inside of Rise, and so what I can do is I added a code block, and I have my code block here, and I can just copy that right there. Now, if it doesn't give you enough room for the entire game, you can click on this format. You can uncheck where it says auto resize, and you can give it a little bit more room for the entire game there as well. Now, you are maxed out at 750, so if you find that is not enough room, then you would go back into Claude and you can say, hey, make sure that the height of all of this is below 750, and it will have to adjust from there. All right, so I'm going to click on Start Game. Let's just make sure everything is working here. Which elements? Oh, wrong, hydrogen. What instruments has 88 keys? Piano, there we go. And then we can hit pause and see that the pause is there. So many different possibilities with just a single HTML file to be able to create a game like this and copy and paste it in. But this is where you should use your instructional design. This is where you should make sure that the questions are instructionally sound, that there is different elements to it, that it is something that you create, that's something that the design and these different features are working exactly how you want it to work. And don't just trust what comes out of the box to begin with. This is really where I see you as the instructional architect of this and the product manager of this. We're going through and you're becoming the expert in the tool, and you're creating this thing that a learner can take right inside of a Rise course. Now, I am going to talk about in a future video, I'm going to talk about how to put this inside of Storyline as well. You can actually take this and put it inside of Storyline. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel for that as well. If you like this and want to check out more, head on over to my website at learningdojo.ninja. You can check out all apps that I have that help you with development. You can check out full courses that cover everything from A to Z, including the Vibe Coding Fundamentals course, and then also all my previous blog posts, my templates, and you can also join our community. Also, if you like this video, head on over to my YouTube channel, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, as well as hit the bell notification so you get notified of all future videos as they come out. That helps me grow, allows me to reach more to learning developers like yourself, to be able to help them create these custom types of learning experiences, to put them inside of Rise, to put them inside of Storyline, or other e-learning tools as well. That's all I have for today. So thanks everyone. I'll see you next time.